All right, it's 7:30, so we're going to go ahead and get started as people still keep coming on. We are so happy to have Rabbi Nitzan Stein-Koken with us tonight from Phoenix. Oh, she left her place up there too, so we can see. And maybe if there's time at the end, I hope you had a chance to read her bio because she has a very interesting background. So I'm going to go ahead and share our blessing to start so she can lead us.
Can we mute?
Yes, please. Now I can't mute everybody when I have it sharing.
Yeah, welcome everyone. So you want me to just start?
Yes, please. I'm sorry.
Yes. I often like to dedicate when we're learning. There's a tradition, a Jewish tradition, that we dedicate, for example, for the memory, for that the soul will be embraced in the eternal embrace when somebody just passed, or for healing powers. And you know, we hope that our learning contributes to the shalom, the completeness, the wholeness of the world. And just a few hours ago, I saw on the news that there was again a terrorist attack in Tel Aviv, I believe, in Israel. And the world is breaking, you know, the world is hurting. And so I want to dedicate our learning today, especially as this lesson is called Finding God in the Everyday, right? I want to dedicate our learning that divine energy, that Shekhinah, that presence, that it may be able to grow, to come more into our lives, to bring healing to the hurting, to bring out care and love and compassion, so much more than hate. And may our study of Torah contribute to that in the world. And so let's say the blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kideshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah.
Thank you.
All right. And that's me. I'm on.
You're on.
All right. And it's so wonderful. It's so nice that you put all your names there. This is an honor for me to be here, to come here, to be invited to teach you. I'm here in Phoenix. We have our first heat here, so it's getting warm. And we have a lot of blossoms already outside. And so this class, we're going to look at how we become more aware of God in the everyday life, or maybe that divine spark in us, right? And so I believe you guys have a Siddur, right? Do you know to open it to the evening Shema? I have the blue Shabbat Sim Shalom. Is that the one you have? Which one, Julia? Could you help me out here? Yes, I see. Oh, people have all different Sim Shaloms.
Some are Lev Shalem, and I left mine downstairs, so I don't have that page number. But if you can find it in the beginning Friday night service in the Lev Shalem and find the Shema in there, you should be able to find it in the table of contents too.
Oh, there is. So Lev Shalem has,
oh, there you go.
has it on page 39a. And the Sim Shalom Shabbat and Festival Sidur has the evening Shema
Page 41.
on 41. That was that's which Sim Shalom, an older Sim Shalom, and then there's
But that's Lev Shalem, the
Lev
red
Shalem.
one.
Sorry, yeah.
I
Lev
have an
Shalom.
older Sim Shalom, and it's on page evening. It's on page 284.
284, and then the blue one has it
Is on page 138.
one,
Thank you.
or you could even
I'm sorry, in the red one.
or you could even go to page 28 in some showed me in this one. If you have this one, it's page. Anyway, what do I want to do here? I want to look for a moment the opening of the Maariv service, right? Of the evening service at that turn when we come out of the day and turn towards the night. And what is we call the Balchu is we call everyone into the prayer. Come, bless God, right? And then the first blessing that we say is Baruch Atah Hashem, Elokeinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, בחוכמה פותח שערים, בתבונה משנה עיתים ומחליף את הזמנים ומסדר את הכוכבים, and so on. Let's look at the English. It's actually pretty amazing. It doesn't immediately speak about the night, but rather it says, praise to you, Adonai, our God, who rules the universe. Your word bringing the evening dusk. It might be the English translation in the Lev Shalem is a little bit, might be a little bit different. You open with wisdom the gates of dawn. Design the day with wondrous skill. That's the Sim Shalom translation. Set out the succession of seasons and arrange the stars in the sky according to your will. You create day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness away from light. Eternal God, your sovereignty shall forever embrace us, right? And the Lev Shalem has it a little differently, but basically, what is the idea that's expressed here? It's a big idea.
Do you want people to unmute and just
Oh,
answer?
yeah. Oh, sorry. Yes. So I didn't clarify the format. Tell me, just remind me, please. I'm happy I'm happy if you are okay with this. If people can unmute themselves, just be kind. If somebody watch your talking time, that you don't take away too much from other, and take your turn. So if you want to unmute yourself, because I'm not sure that I can see everyone on the screen. Actually, no, there's two screens. So
I see Denise has her hand up, and then Arlene Schwartz.
yes, go ahead.
Well, to me, it means that God is totally responsible for the rhythm of our life, for the days and for the seasons. Even though there may be scientific explanations, God is still the one that's controlling this.
Yes, nice.
What I get.
Okay, all right. And who was the next person?
Arlene?
I felt the same way. I felt that God has given us the day and the evening, and we can't take any of that for granted. I know that that's not said there, but I feel like we're blessed to have each one of those.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Marlene?
I guess to me, it also ditto what the other women said before. But it also reminds me of the importance of transitions, from different times of the day, with the sun and the darkness, just like we have the sacred and the profane when we have Havdalah ending Shabbat, when Shabbat is over, and then we go back into the rest of the week. The day is coming to a close, and now we're in evening, and I guess in Jewish tradition, the new day begins, like with sunset in the evening. So that's what came to
And
mind.
what I find beautiful is, even if we might, as individuals, not connect maybe to a personal God, depending, some of us do, some not, but what is clear here, that the world has an order. There's a cosmic succession of things. There is something that spins, that comes back, that has the seasons, right? And we are the first thing as we go into the night, and you mentioned in a Jewish perspective, it means we start a new day. In our congregations at the Marif, we start reading the names of the yortzites of the people of the follow, like of that day, meaning if it's Tuesday night, we'll start reading those from the list of Wednesday, right? Because it's the Jewish day starts at night. And at the first step we take as we go into the night, into this new day, we're becoming aware of the order of the cosmos, the order of the world. We're taking a step back to look at it. And then if you turn the page or go to the second blessing, the theme changes and it becomes Ahavat Olam, Ahava, love, right? So what I find so beautiful is that the first thing is we look at the world and we recognize what's out there. Day, night, heat, cold, blossoms maybe in the spring now. I came in when there was a discussion about cherry blossoms and and all kinds of blossoms. We become aware. We take a moment of mindfulness to putting ourselves maybe even into where we are, right? Getting perspective. And so what I would love for us to do before we go into the text, into more other text study or deeper text study, I want each and every one of us to take a moment to become aware of your surroundings. Take, like, let's say 3 minutes, right? And just like put yourself on mute. Even if you want, maybe, switch off your camera or so, and look around and look around the room that you're in. Take note of your surroundings. Is there something that you usually overlook or don't notice? Is there something that's always there for you? Like, notice what's around you, how this room feels that you're in, and how it feels. Or are there things that come to mind only when you focus a little bit? So let's do it for 3 minutes in a quiet observation. If you want, you can also get up and walk around the room you're in. See if you notice anything different. Or if there's a window, if you looked out the window and noticed what's out there. And if you have a pen, a pencil, and a paper, I invite you, before we start talking, to write down a few things that you've noticed, even just in bullet points. Is there anything new? Is there anything different that you haven't thought of before? Four minutes are quick. I was just curious if a few people would like to share if this little exercise made them aware of something else, or what came up as you were looking around your room.
Sharon, and then Lillian.
Okay, usually my living room is filled with David's in the chair, the TV's on, the dog he's in his little man cave, and they're not being there, and the silence and the meditation. I really felt I have pillows, quilted pillows, and a quilt my sister made of my mom's 100 shmatas to remember her by, and a quilt for my grandmother and grandfather too. And I felt their pull in the quiet here.
Beautiful, thank you.
Lillian.
Lillian, unmute.
Lillian, you need to unmute.
Said, unfortunately, it wasn't a relaxing thing because I have half my kitchen chametz and half my kitchen Passover, and there's pots all over, and it's a disaster. So I looked and I saw all of the pre-Pesach tumult.
Well, it was only what you noticed. There was no promise for it to be relaxing.
Right? Yeah, there's change in your house, right?
Marion.
Well, I looked outside, I'm on a main street, and I could just see the colors on the sky that were changing. And I was thinking, it seems to be getting lighter every night. And I can see people walking on the street nonchalantly. And it was such a nice feeling. And I closed my eyes and I felt the peace around me because I live alone. And it was very peaceful and like I could meditate a bit, and it was very pleasant.
Thank you.
Sabina.
We actually went to Florida the end of January, and the day before we left, we took the chair cushions off the 4 peninsula stools that we literally live at in this junior floor apartment. And today when I got home, I was so exhausted. We got home Tuesday night. I just started my Passover. I haven't been sleeping, stressing out over it. I almost sat in an empty stool and went through, there's no cushion. And now I'm staring at the no cushions. We're going to get them tomorrow. You can't see anything out our 23rd floor window because the rain in Riverdale is so disgusting. That is just pure, nothing's looking out there.
But your background looks awfully fun.
What? Oh, the background is a lot of fun. My husband collects it. It's a lot of
Okay.
fun.
All right. So
Yeah.
it's a
Every so
new
often I notice a new one go up on the shelf.
Oh, nice. Thank you.
Karen?
Oh, sorry. I pressed them. Start again, please.
Oh, okay. First I noticed that my blinds were uneven. And so I went over and fixed them because the cleaning girl came yesterday and I didn't notice that. So thank you for letting me notice that. And then the other thing is I have a beautiful clock from my parents' house that is right twice a day that I always forget that it's there and I absolutely love it. And the other thing, and so it really brought a sense of calm to me to see that, to remind myself that it's there. And the other thing is that I had given my husband for his 65th birthday, I forget now, a set of golf. I don't even know what they're called because I don't play golf, not the handles, but the bottom part, whatever that is. And so it just
Heads or grips.
The what? I'm sorry?
Heads or grips.
No, the other part, the one that's on the ground. I don't know. I don't know, but in any case, I'm sorry.
The iron.
The golf head.
The head of the driver, and it's in a looks like a globe, and it reminds me of him. He passed away 5 years ago now, and so I haven't looked at that in a long time. So thank you.
All right. Thanks for sharing.
Sheila.
Okay, hi. Okay, so the past probably year with COVID, I've placed my laptop computer on what used to be my daughter's desk, and I sit in her room. Her room has not changed one bit since she left over 20 years ago. So I just looked in a cabinet above her desk, which I can't remember when I opened it last, and saw things like some artwork she's done and papers and an old-fashioned, what we call an old-fashioned radio, and made me realize this whole room is history. And looking around, you made me realize that although we haven't changed her room, it now is a piece of history in my life.
Thank you.
Yes. Carol?
Hi, so I'm sitting in a new space since we just moved. So thank you for letting me kind of look around. And I saw two things. First of all, I'm looking at a pretty window, but there's a picture of my father-in-law. And I feel like he's just staring at me, smiling, because he loved to study. He would drive to work listening to the Parsha every week. So I felt like he's thinking, oh, this is a good thing for you to be doing. And then right next to it, I have a tissue box, and on it, and Rabbi, you'll enjoy this, it says, find inspiration in everyday things. So, thank you.
Nice. Maybe let's take 2-3 more. Yeah. If there are.
Geraldine?
Hello, I call this the cave. So while I'm in my cave, there's a reason I call it a cave. I'm looking at this beautiful, beautiful picture of my mother, a blessed memory that I miss her. And then next to it is a picture of my sister and me taken a couple of weeks ago before she moved to Florida. And I'm going around the room and there's this beautiful picture of two of my grandnieces who are now 3 and 4, but they were 2 and 3 at that time. And then there's this beautiful little watercolor kind of painting that my grandnephew did a few years ago, and now he's so sophisticated at 6 years old. Okay, and then I realized there are 2 throw blankets that my dear Nana gave me. I think she gave them to me when she was about 100 years old. But I love them dearly. I always wrap myself or throw them on my lap. So it was like, and then I turned to this music that today I listened to the song and the words just reminded me so much of the blessings that I have. So thank you.
I'll share one of mine. I was looking around and these sit on my desk. I don't know if you can see them. It's ruby slippers for any of you that took Leadership Institute. And I took them twice. So I have a pair of ruby slippers to remind me that the power for what I need to do is in myself. And they sit on my desk, but I hadn't paid any attention to them in a long time. And I noticed them looking around.
Nice, nice. Thanks for sharing. Last call. Last chance. All right. So, just hearing you filled me with warmth because so many of you expressed something that you use this room or this environment and you don't look exactly around every time, but when you took the moment, when you took yourself aback in your busyness and you allowed yourself to take in what's around you, so many of you connected to a positive experience, to a good memory, to something either they accomplished or a loved one, a relationship, right? Or some good stories, right? And becoming aware of this elevated you. Some, of course, also, Pesach, the counter might look at work, but you're also looking, so it's what you notice is that it affects us when we pay attention. Our surroundings affect us, and in our surroundings, there's a lot that we can actually take in. Or the lady, you looked at the street and you connected to people beyond you, right? And usually, when we do this exercise, if we would be in person, I would have asked you, if we would be in a room or somewhere, I would have asked you to maybe go outside in the courtyard or the garden of the synagogue and notice. And then because we so often run through the world, right? Just busy, get in the car, get out of the car, into the shopping mall. And we miss the little birds that are tweeting or the blossoms, right? Or the other things. And yet when we half the time we are actually able to connect, right? Connect to memories, connect to loved ones, connect to history, connect to mitzvot, like I'm moving forward towards that holiday that is coming, right? And so God, when we think about finding God in our everyday lives, I think one of the first exercises is to give ourselves a moment of mindfulness, of awareness, and what Rabbi Joshua Heschel called, Abraham Joshua Heschel called amazement, right? Moving from that moment of recognition, one step up to actually look behind those things, right? What is there? Like these red ruby slippers or what they're called, right? Notice, and then it reminds you what you've accomplished, right? Made a connection. What's out there? So I want to move us in this next phase to really look and study those words of Abraham Joshua Heschel in what he calls radical amazement. And I believe you got this text, right? Everyone. And I'm wondering, could we do some breakout rooms? Is that something we could do?
Yes.
I think, and if you look at the text, you can read through it, and then there's 5 discussion questions there. And how about we'll give about, how about 15 minutes? Is that a good time, or do you rather have, I think 50 or 10 minutes?
How about a compromise and maybe just do like between 10 and 12?
Yeah, let's do 10 minutes for reading and see how, if you want to discuss some of these questions and what's important in Chavruta study. I don't know how often you've done this, but read the text out loud, right? Maybe if you don't know each other so well, just repeat your name, who you are, and then take turns reading, and really read and speak together, and discuss what is it about radical amazement that makes it a religious attitude, or where do you feel moments when you feel a sense of wonder about the world? All right. And I would suggest maybe 3 or 4 people into one group. That could be nice.
Okay.
All right.
Right, here we go.
Hello. Hello back, everyone. So I
Hello.
hope
Everybody
you
get
had
through all 5 questions? We didn't get through all the questions.
Hi.
Yeah, no, we got through the reading, so maybe you were right about 15 minutes, because what we did, we got through the reading and commented on the reading, and we were going through that, but we didn't get to the discussion question.
Very good, very good, very good.
Part of
That's good. The main part is the reading. I would love to, so let's look at some of these questions, right? And either answer the question, or maybe one of each room, or can maybe report a little bit. Of course, only share, your own views, or so what is it about radical amazement that makes it a religious attitude?
I can share it up on the screen, or if you want to, or we can just read it if you want to look at people.
Oh, I think maybe, I mean, everybody read the text, right? Everybody, all groups got through the text, right?
Okay.
All right. All right. So, and everybody has the text in it. So either answer that question, or even if you have other comments or things that came up in your group, we would love to. Let's take a few minutes to share. Yes, Dana.
I was answering it saying that I feel it's a very spiritual connection that you get when you're thinking of everything being so amazing. And whether it's little or big, it just brings you a sense of wonder, and that feels very spiritual. So I see it as religious in that sense.
Thank you. Geraldine.
I guess with our group, there were a couple of things. Acceptance that we don't know how things happen. And therefore, there's got to be a God to have done so many marvelous things. And the coincidence is God's method, or I think that's what I wrote. I'm not sure what I wrote here. Oh, wait, here it is. Coincidence is God's method of remaining anonymous. Is that right? Where's my group number? I think that's
right.
Was that right?
That happens to be something that I heard my rabbi, the late Sidney Greenberg, say many times in synagogue when, people meet each other, and they, it's that they were sitting next to each other in a classroom, and they wound up going out together and getting married, and, these are, or other situations. And I always like that.
Lane Fisher said, it's my connection to God.
Another thing is when we do blessings, it makes us aware.
Yes, and Corinne, I think you wanted to say.
Yeah, what I was going to say probably relates more to the second question, but they're all related. All the questions I think are kind of related anyway. But I think that when you are outside and you are close to nature, that's when I feel most connected to something, to God. And it's learning to appreciate the environment you're in and not taking it for granted. And what I said is that every little thing, from an ant to an elephant, has been created, and there's a purpose, and there's a reason for them to be created. And we've got to appreciate that and understand how beautiful everything is. And I always say, how does that bird know that it's spring and it's time to sing and it's quiet all winter? So there's something that is directing everything. And the biggest source of radical amazement, I think, is the birth of a baby. What a miracle that is. And so, I think that it's all related, and there's something directing all these things.
Let's hear a few more. Shayla?
Yeah, okay. I'm going to talk about the second question. Are there moments when you feel a sense of wonder about the world, and when and where do these most likely occur? And all of us in the group agreed that when we see something for the first time, we may have learned about the Mona Lisa, but standing in front of it just amazes us. In fact, one of our group members says she cried when she saw it for the first time, or things that she sees for the first time that are so special. So we have to think about what are some of the firsts in our life that have made us really wow.
Yeah, thank you. Looking at Marlene.
Mary,
Sorry, did someone say something?
Did you want to say something, Marlene?
Yes, but I didn't know if Julia had called on
no,
somebody
go ahead,
else.
Marlene.
in our group, there was some consensus that we were talking about the natural world, whether it was national parks or forests, or, or animals, or sunrises or sunsets. And then we, echoing what Corinne said, we did talk about childbirth as a radically amazing thing. But it's God's work. I mean, it's so much bigger than us. And they say that, by spending time outdoors, it's healing, because it kind of forces you. You don't have your phone, you don't have your desk, you don't have your kitchen, you don't have your car, So it's the power of Hashem, the power of God, and things that are so much bigger that we don't always understand and we don't always appreciate or take for granted. So when you spend periods of time outside, it's kind of a positively forced space and place and way of radically amazing yourself.
I agree. I agree with you. I have the easiest time to feel that amazement or feel that spiritual kind of awareness of is, out in the natural world, or hearing the birds, or, I mean, in our backyard here, I guess an hour and a half away from here, we have the Grand Canyon. Like, if you just stand on the rim there, it's like, it's amazing. And just to not overuse the word, right? And it's a little, and sometimes for me, it's also, say, in a beautiful sanctuary with the beautiful music. I have the moments of like becoming aware of more things. I find it interesting, though, what Heschel here says in the last paragraph, right? That where he brings us back and says, like, how do we really respond to those miracles which are daily with us, right? And bringing it back to the kind of trivial acts of our day-to-day actually needs, of eating bread or fruit. And if you, by the way, I always find this fascinating. Right? I mean, you're familiar with the concept of that before we consume something, every food has kind of a blessing that goes with it, right? So, you say different blessings. You say, when you eat an apple, you bless over, or you express your gratitude through the bracha, or the fruit from the tree. Or if it's like potatoes or beans or whatnot, or red romaine lettuce, it's like the fruit of the earth, right? Because it comes out of the earth. But when we say bread, when we eat bread, which is sort of the staple, I think, for a lot of people in any culture, right? You say Hamotzi lechem min haaretz, who brings forth the bread from the earth. But God doesn't bring bread from the earth. It's not God who makes the bread out of the earth, right? And you may have heard this from other rabbis, right? It's the farmer who sows, who works the land, the rain and the weather to grow the grain, the farmer who harvests, the miller who grinds, the baker who bakes, right? And by the time you have the bread on your table, there's a whole chain, and there's a whole system, a whole chain of events that taken place that we're all taking in with partaking from this bread. And the marvels of like human cooperation and on human and nature cooperation, right? That we become aware of. So this little wonder that we marvel at is all of a sudden a wonder in steps. And what is our response to that reality? So I find that sort of interesting for myself to, there's marvels in the way we organize our societies. There are marvels in the way of our human relationships that we can find, even there, we can find those sparks.
Eileen put our connections to each other in the chat. And Faye has coincidences, God's way of remaining anonymous.
Yes. Yeah. All right. Yes, I see Laurie.
I had to miss a few minutes, so someone may have already mentioned this, but I like what you said, Rabbi, about the musical aspect of spirituality, really. I think it's something that can't really be described, just like people's feelings of nature. It's very, very hard to describe your feeling of amazement and wonder when you're outdoors sometimes. And I think that would be a class in and of itself, just the spirituality through music class. So I know personally that I get my spirituality through music, and it's really indescribable. You really can't describe it. You don't have to be in the sanctuary. You can be anywhere. You can be in the concert hall or not, but just for the music to wash over you and the feeling that you get, it's very hard to put into words. Again, it can be anywhere. So that would be a great class.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Anyone else? Any other group who hasn't spoken coming back from this text? Yes.
Lisa.
So I was going to tie into what you were just talking about. The third question, how does the sense of wonder relate to your conception of God? With a sense of gratitude. With the couple of things we talked about there were being grateful to God, not for giving us the ability to build things with science, to be able to be on an airplane, to look at the sky, to fly from one place to another, to do all of these things. So we know that the sun rises and sets every day because the world is round and it spins on an axis, but God made that possible. So when you step aside from science and you look at it from a spiritual perspective, we're not settling for an answer. We're always looking, we're always asking why, we're always exploring it at a deeper level. So I guess the two concepts that came up with that question were one of gratitude for all of the little miracles that we have, and for the ability to go beyond science and to continue to question and believe.
Yes, thank you. If you permit me, I want to share with you another little text. And because when I read Heschel, I read him as, this is a first step. And I mean, Heschel is just amazing, or is like this deep philosopher. Any of his books, if you read the Sabbath or if you read the prophets, they're still speaking to us. They're still so, just try read any of his books, and it is a wonderful. You learn. Good thoughts and good things. But one thing that I do think after I read this and after the exercise we did is so we become aware of this miracle in our lives. We even take the step to acknowledge and be uplifted or amazed by it. And then, when it talks about worship or music, you talked about music, that is already a response. Right? That is a reaction to that awareness, to that divine immanence. And so one thing that comes up for me is, so now we become aware of the immanence of the divine. how do we respond? And I wanted to just show you some a very Jewish tool that you all know about, but maybe haven't looked at it in this context, right? Because we use prayers and blessings for like acknowledging the changes of time, acknowledging the holidays, right? But there's something, or acknowledging gratitude. You mentioned gratitude, Elisa, and that what brings me, there are some blessings, some Jewish blessings, they should be in every Siddur, at least in the weekday Siddurim. There are blessings of gratitude for all kinds of moments. And I scanned this from, I'm just going to show you, this is Rabbi Reuben Hammer has the Sim Shalom and wrote a commentary on it. And in his commentary on some of the blessings that are of gratitude, I want to show you here this little text by Aryeh Kaplan. So, page, come on, let's scroll up, not too much. And what it is just a formula that we say about almost every prayer, every blessing. Baruch atah Adonai is already a way of acknowledging this radical amazement, or the wonder, or the divine in the world, the immanence. So I want to just read this with you. A blessing is the expressions of God's immanence. When we say that God is blessed, right? It's exactly weird if you think about it. We start Baruch atah. You are blessed, God. How are we? Like, we are blessed through all the things that we get, right? Through that God created us, that, gave us the wisdom to make so now we're reacting back and we say, blessed are you. Saying that, and this, of course, Aryeh Kaplan is also still calls God in the male form. So I'm not going to go into that for now. We'll just read the text as it is. But we are saying that his immanent presence is the source of all blessing. I hope everybody sees my screen, right? Yes. This implies that God is close, very close to us. When we recite the word Baruch, blessed, we should be aware that God is very close, permeating the very air around us. We should feel, and I think we already made that switch. We don't need the should. After reading Heschel, you know that this is how you're responding, in a sense, or in one Jewish way, right? And this Baruch Atah formula was established about 2,000 years ago by the rabbis, by the early ancient rabbis and the sages, right? And it's been with us as a Jewish way of expressing all of what we've discussed. We should feel God in our bones, in our flesh, in our minds, in the deepest recesses of our souls. We should also be aware that God makes himself available in order to enhance our closeness to them, or to God, let's say, right? So just by saying the first word of any Jewish prayer, Baruch, you're already right there, right at this awareness and at this closeness. The next word is you, atah. So it's not only awareness, but it's your response of all of us, and you're in a relationship. Reacting to this amazement is putting yourself in a relationship. Baruch atah, in Hebrew, atah, you. This word refers to the I and thou relationship that we have with God. Simply saying you to God makes us aware that we are speaking directly to God. When we say this word, We should be aware of the divine directly in front of us and feel all the love, strength, and awe that exist when we confront the divine. He says should. I think it's a beautiful way of acknowledging. Right now I'm sitting here, I've noticed my memories, I've noticed my blessings, I've noticed the wonders of the world outside in nature, or the wonders of music and art, right? And now I can channel it into a response that makes me a partner, Baruch Atah, and can be drawn into that relationship of love and strength. When and then it goes on, Baruch Atah, and the next word is Adonai, the 4-letter name of God. The next word is, when we pronounce God's name, Adonai, we are aware that we are addressing the infinite being who is absolute, other. The very next word, however, right, we're coming back, but now, Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu, the 4th word of every blessing formula is, which is translated our God, shows the extent to which God allows us to address God's self as our God, as if, in a sense, God belonged to us, making it personal, bringing it back into our day-to-day lives. This is perhaps the greatest gift and miracle of all, that God allows us to call God ours. And so what I wanted to show you here is, actually, I'm going to show you, which one is this? Nope, hold on. Every Siddur should have these blessings of gratitude, and they are actually fascinating. I don't know if you knew this, but I just the last few 2-3 minutes, I want to, and then we can talk a little, but I wanted to show you, there's not just the prayers, there's not just the blessings over food. There are the blessings when you see lightning and shooting stars, the vast deserts, the high mountains, the spectacular sunrise or sunset. What do you say? Oseh Maaseh Bereshit. Right? If you come to the Grand Canyon, if you come visit us in Arizona, go to the Grand Canyon, you see the beauty, and you're out in the desert there, and there's no light. You see these amazing stars, right? You can respond with a blessing, Baruch Atah Adonai, Oseh Maaseh Bereshit, making the creations of the world. Seeing a storm or hearing thunder, you say, who rules the universe, whose power and might fills the earth, fills the universe. When you see a rainbow, that's maybe a bit more well known amongst people. I saw somebody had a beautiful rainbow in their background here. When you see a real rainbow, what do we remember? Melech Olam Zocher Abrit, Ne'eman bevrito ve'yakayam b'ma'amaro. We remember the story of Noach, and that God is faithful to give the divine, to keep the seasons and keep the cosmic order. Trees blossom, right? These are all beautiful, like seeing creations of vegetations of striking beauty. If you see somebody really, really beautiful, you can say Shekacha lo be'olamo, in whose world such beauty exists, right? And another one thing so those are all nature blessings. I'm not sure, I just wanted to show you, but the things where it really gets me is when if you see a person who's recovered from a serious illness, and we've all been through COVID, and maybe this class on this forum actually was made possible through COVID, right? To have the idea to be, I don't know exactly, but to have the idea of us coming together nationwide, from all places. COVID has certainly had, everyone has, I think, people in their lives who recovered from a serious illness. And then to acknowledge that and say, you know, thanks for that wonder, that that you've come back to us alive and has not turned into dust. I mean, you know, so to acknowledge these, now I wanted to show you, where's my other one? This is the other page. Hold on, I want to make it a little bigger, and I apologize that I didn't really make this into a slide. Something that might be very relevant of the wonders that are in our lives. At least in our synagogue, we still have people who are careful, not coming back. But gradually, some people, you see people you've seen maybe over the screen, but not really you've seen them. You see a friend, there's a blessing. When you see a friend after a year's absence, you can say, the blessing is actually Mechaye Mitim, right? Who has returned people to life, who was restoring life, right? Awaken the dead, restored life into somebody. So when you have an encounter with a person you haven't really seen, how many of us have not seen their closest friends or relatives for so long, especially if they live somewhere apart, or if they were in the hospital or in a assisted living where you could maybe walk up, you know, or just over the phone. To come back to that meeting someone like that, and acknowledge the wonder that is in there and the blessing that is in it. There's a blessing that our ancients gave us, the blessing of Mechaye Amitim, right? Who is restoring life. So I just wanted, you know, and then it continues about smelling pleasant fruits, smelling pleasant herbs, you know, or shrubs. If you see somebody who is wise in Torah, even if you see somebody who is wise in worldly wisdom or like art, right? I would say, I wanted to show these blessings to you because I think, for me personally, and I'll finish here, and I'd be happy to hear some of your reactions or thoughts or comments. It's like, it's one thing, it's an important first step for me to take that pause like we did in the beginning. Stop and start noticing, get out of my busy life or my busy day. Even sometimes when I lead Minyan at night and we take the call for Baruch Hu, just to take a moment and say, before we go into the prayer, we're now leaving the old day behind and going into the new day. What do we want to take? Which goodness in us, which divine light do we want to nourish into the new day, right? And what do we want to leave behind? Just to take a moment to become aware is a first step. But then I think, then to take the next step and say, now I'm going to form a response. And the response could be a meditation sitting of silence, right? Or the response can be an artistic work or a melody that a musician composes. Or a response can be Baruch Atah Adonai, putting myself into a relationship and then having all these different options to acknowledge that particular immanence or wonder that's in my life. I think that's something that that I am called, when I read about radical amazement, I'm called into a response. And I can express that response by saying I'm in this relationship with the immanence, the divine immanence, by saying Baruch Atah Adonai and being called into that. Anyway, I'll stop here. So if you want to share some thoughts or comments or questions, so let me know.
Arlene.
Okay, thank you very much for all of the insights tonight. When we do the meditation, rather than seeing, I mean, I did see things around me, but I kept on focusing on my own breath, is what I felt. And the other, and how it was different, how it would be pounding more so when I had to find something, when I had to become aware of something to notice, and it kept on coming back to my own breath. When we're doing the gratitude, and I really am thankful for nature, and I'm in awe, which I mentioned in our group, of all the things around me, especially when I'm outside hiking and in nature. But my gratitude is for my own being. And I don't, is there a special prayer or gratitude for that, for the existence, or for our existence, and for just being, and for life? I'm wondering about that aspect, because I think having a life and just being is amazing.
So I can answer directly, just very quickly, if we want to phrase it in the language of the Siddur. If you go to the Birkot HaShachar, to the morning blessings, there's 2 blessings that are beautiful, that are not said in a synagogue setting, but that you say at home when you wake up. And one is the blessing over over our body, the gift of our body, which is, if you have the weekday Siddur, it's on page 4 of the Sim Shalom. It says, Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu Melech HaOlam, who has fashioned the human body in wisdom. And then it talks about, creating the openings, arteries, glands, and organs, marvelous in structure, intricate in design. And should one of them fail to function by being blocked or opened, it would be impossible to survive and to serve you. And that is so true. That's a blessing that you say, you can say every morning. It's right there in the Siddur. It's so true, right? If our nose is closed, if we can't breathe, right? We don't live. If we can't hold down the food, we can't live, right? So, so that's a blessing for bodily, physical gratitude. But the very next one is Elohai neshama shenatatari. The soul that you, my God, have given me is pure. You created it, you formed it, you breathed it into me. You keep body and soul together, right? And every morning the belief is that the soul returns to us. And some of you may know it as a song. One of the melodies that I think are pretty well known now. Elohai neshama shenatata bi tehorahi. Elohai neshama shenatata bi tehorahi. I don't know if that's familiar. I see a few people nodding. That's right there. This is the essence. Our soul is with us, and we express gratitude for God.
Yeah, the wonder of waking up and being alive each day.
Yeah, Sharon, please.
Okay, we talked a lot about seeing God and that relationship in nature, and I feel that. But one of the other things I do, and I haven't heard this said, but when I go to morning minyan, and Monday and Thursday and Saturday too, when Torah is read, I use that as a time for meditation. I close my eyes, and as it's chanted, I feel the words come off the scroll and wrap around me. And I don't know if that's just me, but it gets me to that sense of amazement that you talk about.
Mhm. Yeah. Cute.
Even though I have no idea what he's saying.
You know, sometimes it's actually, I mean, I lived in Israel. I really got myself immersed into, I came from Germany and I went to Hebrew University and I wanted to learn all the Jewish texts, Talmud, Midrash, everything. And so I made a deliberate decision to just speak Hebrew. I only found, and so I got really into the Hebrew language and I sort of understand almost every word in our prayers. But somebody said to me, you know, and so I always like love the Hebrew and its depth, but somebody said to me, but then when I read the English, sometimes it gets a whole different, it feels different sometimes. And somebody said to me, you know, just listening to the Hebrew, not even knowing all the words, sometimes it's actually a nice experience. It's a good experience. There's a holiness in it. Or that's a congregant of ours here in Phoenix expressed that to me, that when I read the English, it's too close. It's like the Hebrew plus the music, the melody of the tefillah makes it a wonderful experience of that amazement. So that's lovely. Lashon HaKodesh, the holy language, right?
I think that the prayer you sang about, that you just sang to us, I think that Debbie Friedman has a version of that prayer as well. It's very beautiful.
Definitely. I'm not, some of her melodies, I don't know. I know a few of them. Yeah. Yeah.
Rabbi?
Yes.
I was just, I kind of chatted with Lori for a minute because I was kind of on board with her in terms of getting the music and spirituality. I think, I mean, in my other life, I was a musician many years ago in another life. But some of my most, I guess, that I couldn't explain moments as a musician was once when I was in Milwaukee and sang with a mass choir, Bach's Mass in B minor, and just feeling, you know, just the feeling all of these incredible voices. It's a whole different world. And I felt the same. In my other life, I played bassoon and contrabassoon. When I played Stravinsky's Rite of Spring, that this mass orchestra, and here I am, and it just took me to another place I could imagine. So this is what I'm proposing. I would love for you to sing some more and flash up some pictures so we can be out there in Arizona with you. Just think about it, okay? Thank you very much. All right, bye.
I agree.
All right. Well, I can pull something up that we do here at just a very simple one. But if anybody else has another comment, please just unmute yourself, or thought or a question. We do have a minute or two, I guess, right? Julia, we do have 2 minutes or so.
We do. Meanwhile, while you're pulling that up, I will just let everyone know our next class is going to be May 12th. I put it on the email. And we're going to be, so this was Finding God in the Everyday. We're going to be looking at finding God in text next month.
All right. So thank you, first of all, very much that you are listening, that you listen, that you joined the conversation, discussing. Thank you very much for Julia and Ellen and the Women's League to inviting me to speak. And and to be here with you exploring this topic. And I thought, so one of the things that I like to do at evening minyan, and we're still on Zoom because a lot of our members don't like to drive at night. You know, when it gets dark, it's difficult. So this is a view from our deck when I'm at home, we have sort of a roof deck and we can see west into the sunset. So you will see a little bit of Phoenix, nice and flat, lots of desert. And so maybe we'll just conclude our learning tonight with imploring the shalom, the shalom that's created bimromav, the shalom, the wholeness, right? Shalom is not just peace, it's the wholeness, the completeness that's in heaven, that's above, that's made above. May it come down upon our world, upon the people of Israel. And I don't have this here, but I always add also ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, and upon all the world, especially in these times where we hear about violence from all corners of the world. So let's maybe sing this together. Sing along. Let's sing. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Israel ve'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru amen. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Israel. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Israel. Ve'imru amen. Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you, Rabbi. Thank you for teaching us.
Thank you
To
so much,
everyone.
Rabbi.
We
Thank
won't
you
be
for a night.
together.
Thank you.
I will wish all of you a Zis Pesach, Chag Sameach, Shabbat Shalom. We'll be back together in May.
And all
Thank you,
that
Julia.
again.
And you, Ellen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ellen and Julia.
Thank
Thank you
Rabbi
all.
Ellen,
Bye-bye,
passing
Lisa.
so good to see
Thank you
everybody.
all. Thank you all.
Have a
Thank you all.
beautiful
Pesach.
Pesach.
Beautiful. Well done.
Thank you.
Very grateful.
Rabbi,
That was a
in,
pretty.
in the mood.
That was
See
a
you
beautiful
next-
picture
yeah,
from
it-
your deck, wherever
Backyard.
you were on the roof. Is that where you were? On
Yeah,
the roof
yeah,
deck?
we have like a roof access where we can, most of the year you burn in the sun up there, but in the winter it's nice.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
The
That was
Baba.
absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much. That
Thank
just
you
warmed
so
my
much.
heart. I'm
Thank
happy.
you.
Yeah.
Okay, bye-bye.
Happy Passover. I'll see some of you
Awesome.
tomorrow.
See some Pesach.
Thank you, Pesach.